Over the weekend, I was wondering if anyone could become the UFC's first triple champion, and by that I mean someone who has become champion in three separate weight classes. And it got me thinking for a few big names. So I thought of Islam Makhachev, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight. But ultimately, I think he's too small for middleweight, so I don't think that would work out for him. And then I thought Alexander Volkanovski, but then I realised he's also too small for welterweight. And if he tried to go the other way, I don't think he could do it because he's 35 now, and there's absolutely no way he can make bantamweight either. So then I went for a few names, and then I came to Khamzat Chimaev. And honestly, guys, Khamzat Chimaev might be the guy to become the UFC's first triple champion. It's crazy because thinking about it, I realized that Khamzat Chimaev has very, very unique body type, which is almost designed to become a UFC triple weight champion. For example, for a welterweight, he's very, very, very big. He's the biggest welterweight ever, I think. I don't actually know whether he can make welterweight, and he actually has to kind of like cheat the scales a bit to make it. But he can make welterweight supposedly in the past. At middleweight, he's still extremely, extremely big, very, very big middleweight. And you know what? I reckon he can be a competitive light heavyweight. I really do. I think he can really still exert his takedowns, get his grappling done. Because honestly, I've seen him in photos of heavyweights, and obviously, as you can see here, he's wrestling with all these big guys. Some of these guys are heavyweights in this video, so pay attention to that. He's wrestling with Ilir Latifi later on. But the point is that Khamzat Chimaev truly can be the next triple champion, and we're going to break it down in this video. So we're going to run through all the divisions that he'd have to conquer to become the triple champion. So we've got welterweight, the champion is obviously Leon Edwards there. We have middleweight, the champion is Israel Adesanya there. And obviously we have light heavyweight, the champion at the moment is Jamal Hill. So we're going to have a look through all of those weight classes and see how Khamzat Chimaev would fare, and then basically how he would adjust to that weight class. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. This is, can Khamzat Chimaev become the UFC's first triple champion? I'm MMA Tizer. Subscribe if you're new, and let's get right into this. Here we go. So Leon Edwards versus Khamzat Chimaev would be the welterweight fight he would be looking for. And honestly, guys, do I think Khamzat beats Leon? I do, yes. I think his wrestling would be too much. Obviously, he struggled with Usman somewhat in the second and third fight, and I think Khamzat Chimaev brings an entirely new level of strength and pressure to the game. He's obviously much bigger than Usman, and I think if Khamzat Chimaev gets you down, you're definitely not going to be getting up as easy as you are against Usman. Also, Usman doesn't really threaten submissions. He's not that guy. He doesn't really do jiu-jitsu, only defensively. And obviously Khamzat is completely the opposite. He's always looking for submissions, trying to latch up chokes, rear naked, star chokes, you name it, he'll try and do it. And Leon kind of exposes his back when he's getting up, guys. I've got to be honest. So I am a little bit worried for Leon in this matchup. I think it could definitely end in him getting submitted within the first 2 rounds or so. But having said that, Leon could catch him. Leon's got very, very high level striking, very, very high level. And obviously he's got decent cardio, he's got an okay chin. But honestly, I'm picking Chimaev to win this one. I think he'd get the belt off Leon. I think he'd take him on. I think it'd be too much from the pressure, the ground and pound. And I think he'd eventually be forced to give up a choke in some form, maybe an arm, or more likely his neck. And he'd get the back, take it, and get in a rear naked. And that's how I think the fight would go. Kind of similar to Li Jingliang. But obviously, this fight would be much closer. He wouldn't just dominate him on the ground. I think it would be a lot more of a battle between the two, but I still think Khamzat would come out victorious. So, but the real question with Khamzat and welterweight isn't actually the opponent. It's more, can he make it? And honestly, guys, I'm not entirely sure Khamzat Chimaev can actually make welterweight. I think as he's got a bit older here, the chances have actually decreased even more. And every other time he's actually made welterweight, I'm pretty sure, except maybe the first 2, I'm pretty sure he didn't actually make weight, and I'm pretty sure he used either the towel or other basically cheating methods to make it look like he made 170 when in fact he wasn't. And obviously we saw in his most recent performance at UFC 279, he just decided he'd weigh in 8 pounds over. So I don't know what happened there, and that really does give me doubts that this matchup could even happen in the first place, because I'm not entirely sure that Khamzat can even make a welterweight in the first place, which obviously makes this impossible. However, I am aware that he, if this matchup was happening and he did make weight, because he has done it before cleanly. I've seen it. He made welterweight once, and it was completely fine. There was no towel gate. There was no nothing. He made it fair and square. If that happened, I think Leon would be in for a rough night, but obviously Leon would still have a very good chance of in this matchup. But as far as I'm aware, Khamzat would have a huge advantage here. He's bigger, he's stronger, and he's the better wrestler. Moving on, we have middleweight, and personally, I believe that this is Khamzat Chimaev's best weight division. I think he looks healthiest and strongest here, and I think he's ideally built for this division. This division, in my opinion, is where he's at his prime. He just seems well sized for the division. His cardio is good because he doesn't have to cut tremendous weight. I imagine his chin maintains good levels because obviously he hasn't having to drain himself. And he's powerful and strong in this division, and he's definitely one of the bigger middleweights still, which is weird considering he can actually make welterweight. It's very, very weird, very unique body type. But anyway, his matchup would be the champion Israel Adesanya, and honestly, I really think this fight goes either one of two ways. The first being Israel Adesanya basically grinds out the thing, stuffs the takedown, survives. Khamzat gasses out, and he basically gets finished in the later rounds by Adesanya or loses a decision, a very one-sided decision. Or alternatively, Khamzat Chimaev shoots in first round, takes him down, and shows him how much better his wrestling is, and basically just absolutely destroys Adesanya and subs him within a round. And honestly, that's very possible too, because Adesanya's never faced a wrestler like this. In fact, all the wrestlers Adesanya's faced, they aren't really huge submission threats, to be honest. So I think this would definitely be a first for him. He wouldn't be used to this whatsoever. And a very, very dangerous matchup for Adesanya. In fact, I think the odds would be pretty close on this fight, to be honest, guys. I'm not going to lie. I think it'd be a very close fight. And it would be, in my opinion, Khamzat's easiest fight, probably, to get the belt. I think even Leon Edwards is actually a tougher matchup for him, potentially. Finally, we have the light heavyweight champion, Jamal Hill. And honestly, guys, I don't think he's that good. But for Khamzat Chimaev, I think he's a bit of a tricky matchup, to be honest, just because the guy's big, you know? He's like 6'2", 6'3", I think. But he just looks really heavy. I mean, we can see him here, you know, he's got power. He's got pretty decent stand-up, you know. He's kind of one-dimensional. But the thing about him, which makes him tricky, is that he's okay at wrestling, you know. His wrestling isn't that bad. His cardio is good. He's got a good chin, so I think this could be a tricky matchup for Khamzat. He'd definitely have to bulk up and pull a John Jones for it, because Khamzat's tall enough to fill up a big frame. But in my opinion, to really give himself the best chance of beating Jamal Hill, he'd need to take, you know, a good at least bare minimum 6 months off, preferably a year, come back extremely strong, very big, ready to beat him. But, you know, by that time, Jamal Hill might have, you know, fought Yuri, and he might have lost to Yuri. And honestly, guys, I think Yuri's an easier matchup for Chimaev. But honestly, I think Jamal Hill will catch Yuri and sleep him in their fight when they do have that. So the champion, I'm just going to assume, is Jamal Hill. And he has better grappling than Yuri. He's definitely a tougher matchup for Khamzat. But can Khamzat beat him? Well, yeah, he can. He can just put his foot on the gas, come out in the first 2 rounds and basically try and get takedowns and just use his weight to basically try and gas Hill. And honestly, we haven't really seen Hill when he's not in control of the grappling, you know, like he's been, as we can see here, you know, Thiago Santos, he's not a very big guy. Glover Teixeira is basically the toughest ground guy he's fought, but Glover is 43 and it was his you know, he was ready to retire, so it's kind of hard to tell just how good he is. He's a purple belt, but that doesn't really say much because Khamzat Chimaev is also a purple belt, and I know who's better on the ground. But yeah, so that's Jamal Hill. Somewhat dangerous matchup. As long as Khamzat takes his time to build it up, I think he should be good. I think he could win this fight in the first 2 rounds by submission. I really do feel like Jamal won't be used to getting dominated on the ground and will therefore make mistakes because he's not comfortable in it. You know, he's usually the guy winning on the ground because he's big, and a lot of the guys he's fought, come to think of it, have actually been pretty washed. I mean, let's look at his last 2 opponents. So we've got Thiago Santos, who's got knee injuries, who's basically been on a big losing streak. He's only beat really terrible guys recently. Took a lot of damage. As I said, very injured, you know, just not completely out of his prime. And he, you know, he made it tough to beat him. And, like, you know, I know he won in the end and he got a finish. But that fight was, you know, it should have been easier, in my opinion. But considering, and then, you know, he fought Glover Teixeira, right? Glover's 43 and he looked so slow, and I know people are going to say, oh, you know, he was tired, he was damaged. Look at him in the first round and then look at him in the Yuri fight. Even in between those 2 fights, he looked so different. Like, he looked so much quicker in the Yuri fight. Obviously, he really aged, and I guess the damage he took in the Yuri fight really got to him, but he just wasn't the same. So, can Khamzat Chimaev actually become a triple champion? Can he do it? Well, I'm going to say maybe, because honestly, I would say this requires a lot of dedication, but I know that Khamzat is a very dedicated person because this guy has more training footage than he has fights in the UFC. Like, honestly, he has so much training footage. I searched it and he has hours and hours of training footage. And he's going full out, as you can see right here. He's going crazy. I mean, I don't know what this form is, but he's trying. Very strong, very determined guy, very dedicated. And if anyone's got the best chance right now, I think it's him. I think he can just about scrape weight if he really dedicates himself to it and he diets well, fasts well, etc. Middleweight's obviously not an issue for him. I think he's got a good chance of beating Adesanya, being the first guy to, submit Adesanya. And then I think he has a fairly good chance of beating Jamal Hill too. Because like I said, guys, Jamal Hill, although a lot of people rate him, I don't think he's that good. I think he's very one-dimensional, as we all know. And I know people can say, oh yeah, well, he's wrestled Santos and Glover. Well, one of them's 43 and one of them's got terrific knee injuries and has never actually been that good at wrestling either. Thiago Santos is not a wrestler, okay? So I don't really want to hear that. Khamzat Chimaev is levels apart, clear of both those guys, especially Santos. And obviously, Teixeira's just too old now. He's been old for Teixeira's been old for the last 5 years. That's how old he is. You know what I mean? This guy was getting called an old man 5 years ago. So it just shows you when he was fighting Jones and stuff. But yeah, so it would be crazy to see. And I think eventually there will be a triple champion. But I don't know if it will be Khamzat Chimaev. But right now, I think he's the best chance we've got. And I mean, yeah, just look power, speed, height, and strength. And this guy's weight fluctuates so much. Sometimes I see him and he's looking really skinny. So other times I see him and he's looking really, really bulky, like he could weigh in at light heavyweight any day. So yeah, this guy's weight fluctuation is basically that of Paddy the Baddies. It's absolutely crazy. And yeah, I think he may as well go for it. Obviously, I presume he's returning in October on the Abu Dhabi card, because I don't know why, but he just seems to not be able to travel to America or something like that. But yeah, I think his opponent is either going to be Kamaru Usman or maybe a welterweight, but it's really hard to tell at the moment because he hasn't given too much away. But rumors would suggest it is Kamaru Usman, but I've also heard that fight might have fallen through too. But yeah, so we just never know. But that is the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Leave a like if you enjoyed this kind of video. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think about Khamzat Chimaev and if he can become a UFC champion, well, triple champion at that. And thanks for watching, guys. I'm Tizzer MMA Tizzer, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.